So welcome everybody to my channel. My name is Rainer, this is Rainier Books. It is Sunday, August 24 when I'm filming this video, and I probably will release it today because we have only 7 days left of the Women in Translation month. This is about books written by women that are translated into English. And actually the Women in Translation month, as you might know, as you might not know, I didn't know it until I researched it this morning, was founded 11 years ago in 2014 by Mitra Radzinski, who is a biochemist working currently at the university probably at the University of San Francisco in California. She has worked earlier at the University of Jerusalem in Israel. So Mitra was the founder of the Women in Translation month, and I say hello to Mitra and thank you very much for creating this big thing, because many people all over the world, all across the world, are reading Women in Translation this month especially. And I will give you a list of 10 books that were published this year in 2025, a list to delve in, a list to maybe find a new book, a new woman in translation for your reading. So let's get this started. I try to find as many languages, not as many languages as possible, but I try to find a bunch of languages from all across the world. So we start in Korea, and there is a book called Counterattacks at 30 by Son Won Pyong that was translated by Sean-Lynn Halbert from the Korean language. This is a novel about hierarchies and the working life and the absurdities of Korean bureaucracy. There are 4 office workers, I believe, in this novel. I think they're all female. They're revolting against these absurdities about these hierarchies and Korean office life, and they are doing things like spraying graffiti, throwing eggs, and writing anonymous exposés. A book about the beauty of friendship and the extraordinary power of unity against adversity. The original version of this novel was already published in 2017, so now 8 years later it has been translated and published in English. I'm very excited about the next one because I have read a book early by this author. This is Women Seated by Zhang Yuran, and I know that I butcher her name now, excuse me so much. It was translated from the Chinese by Jeremy Tiang, and the book that I've read by Zhang Yuran was Cocoon a few years back, and I think it was also nominated for one or another award. And this was a book about the impact of the Cultural Revolution in China, and also the impact of the one-child policy that, as you might know, was in China established from, I think, the 1980s until the 2018-2019. So almost 2 generations of Chinese people are single children of their parents. They have no siblings, which is quite a thing in a large society. The new book, Women Seated by Zhang Yuran, this is about a woman named Yu Ling. She is a nanny. She lives in a very luxurious home. Her employers are very rich people. They have a lot of power. But suddenly, from one day to the other, and she's only caring for one child, for one son, suddenly from one day to another, both the father and the grandfather of the family are arrested. And the wife, the mother of the children, is gone. She's also fleeing. She's also afraid of being arrested. And now Yu Lin is alone with that child. But also Yu has secrets in her life. This sounds like a very intriguing and interesting story. I can't wait for January. I think it was published already a few days back. We have 3 books from India on this list, but all of these 3 books from India are originally written in different languages. The first one is Mudrita by Jisa Jose, or Jisa Jose, I don't know. Translated from the Malayalam by Jayasri Kalatil. And this is a book about a woman who has disappeared. Mudrita, she has disappeared, and a man notifies the police of her disappearance. A man who has never met Mudrita. He only knows her from the internet, from social media, and by email. But now Mudrita is gone, and after a short while actually, the police closes the case already of Mudrita's disappearance. But we have one police woman, her name is Vanita, who doesn't give up. She conducts an investigation in secret, and she learns more about a diverse group, not only about Mudrita, but a group of women who want to slip away, travel, and touch the world beyond the mundane confines of their existence, a compelling portrait of women and the sojourns they make to find themselves, and a very feminist book from India. We stay in the region, so to speak. No, we don't stay in the region actually, because we do stay in the region. The next book is Keeru by Fauzia Rafique, translated from the Shamukhi-Punjabi by Haider Shahbaz. Muhammad Hussain Khan, everybody calls him Keeru after insects, is the owner of a small business in Canada. He has emigrated to Canada. He has fled from Pakistan, where he was subdued to bullying and assaults because he is a member of a very low caste. The book tells queer and feminist stories in 5 perspectives as it overturns familiar tropes about migration and family. This is Keeru by Fauzia Rafique. The next one you might have heard about if you watch my channel, if you watch other channels here on BookTube. This was also long-listed at least, or it wasn't even shortlisted, I think, for the Booker in Translation Prize. This is Under the Eye of the Big Bird by Hiroki Kawakami, translated from the Japanese by Yoneda. In a distant future, children are made in factories from cells of rabbits and dolphins. Some live by getting nutrients from water and light, like plants. The survival of the human race depends on the interbreeding. In 14 interconnected stories, Hiroki Kawakami presents an astonishing vision of the end of our species, known as humankind. And Japan is quite often mentioned as a country where you take a glimpse at the future of the world. And one of the many glimpses you can take at Japan is that they are a dying people. In Japan, we had last year 1.6 million deaths and 686,000 births, which is a minus of 914,000, And it's a huge problem for Japan, aging society and almost no kids. In Tokyo, the birth rate is at 0.99, below 1 per woman, which is really, really critical. And a lot of books in Japan, a lot of Japanese books and Japanese literature deal with that problem, as does Under the Eye of the Big Bird by Hiroki Kawakami. For the next book, we go back to India. The Owl, the River and the Valley by Arupa, Patangia, Kalita. This is translated from the Assamese by Mitra, Phukan. Assam is a province in the northeast of India. Deeply lyrical, it says here, and empathetic stories about contemporary women in Assam that deal with issues like surrogacy, surrogate mothers, migration, living in a colonial legacy, employment and history, all of which affect women in the area of Assam today. Of course, because I'm a German and Swede, there has to be a book that is translated from the German, right? And I chose Eternal Summer by Franziska Gärtner, translated from the German by Imogen Taylor. Even German literature deals with climate change, and this is about Iris, not Iris, Iris we say in German, who took over the family hotel in a small place called Bad Heim, which was, when she takes it over, is still a popular spa town, but then it gets hotter and hotter, the forest fires everywhere, and you can smell the smoke, and fewer people come to Bad Heim. But one day, a mom and her daughter are coming to Bad Heim, and the 3 of these female characters form an alliance. They try to fight for their freedom and for their survival. The next one I have here in German. I have the German translation. I'm already speaking with a German accent here. This is Geht So by Beatriz Serrano. No, it's called in English. I think it appears in English next week or in 2 weeks. In English it's called Discontent by Beatriz Serrano, translated from the Spanish into English by Faye. Lethem. And since I showed you the German translation, I have to say that this is translated from the Spanish to the German by Christiane Quandt. This is a book about Marisa, who lives in a beautiful apartment in the capital of Spain, in Madrid. She has a relationship with a hot and sexy neighbor, and she rises in the ranks of the advertising company that she works in. So everything is fine. She earns good money. She lives in a beautiful apartment. She has a sexy lover, but she is not really, really happy. She hates her job. She spends her working hours locked into her office, hiding from her coworkers, binging YouTube videos, and taking Valium. That doesn't sound really nice, does it? But then she's forced to go on her company's annual team building event. And this is a retreat in the Spanish mountains. A book about the career we're having, the surface we're living on, and the inner realities that scare us and that might be completely different from that what we show to the outside. Gänsler or Discontent by Beatriz. Serrano. Good and Evil and Other Stories by Samantha Schweblin, translated from the Spanish, but from the Argentinian Spanish by McDowell, and probably together with Hiroki Kawakami, the most well-known author of my 10, right? Samantha Schweblin is an Argentinian author. She lives in Berlin, Germany, has lived there for many years, and here she is with a new collection of 6 short stories. Fantastical and subtly terrifying. These stories draw on magical realism and psychological fiction. Schweblin's worlds invite us in like quicksand or a strong river's current. Doesn't sound so nice, actually. These stories will insinuate themselves into your heart and your bloodstream, says the publisher. Well, Samantha Schweblin, it is absolutely destined to become a New York Times best-selling book. And the last, but not the least, book comes from the country I'm living in, from Sweden. And this is The Colony, or Stacken as it's called in Swedish, by Annika, Norlin, translated from the Swedish by Alice E. Olsson. Burned out from a demanding job and a bustling life in the city, Emily has left town to spend a few days in the country. She encounters a mysterious group of people, I think 6 or 7 people, 7 yes, each with personal stories full of pain and alienation and the longing to live differently. They are misfits, each in their own way, and all led by the enigmatic and charismatic Sara, or should I say Sarah. The Colony is a magnetic and deeply touching story about love, community, and the unfathomable power that others have over us. And I want to say to you that Annika Norlin is not only a writer, that's her debut novel, she's also very, very well known in Swedish musician. She had 2 projects where she was performing music as a songwriter. One in Swedish, it was called Säkert, and the other one in English that was called Hello Save Right. So check it out, Hello Save Right. I will put a link down below to Annika Norlin's channels where you can see her, where you can listen her music to her music as well. Thank you very much. These were 10 women in translation from India, from Spain, from Argentina, living in Germany, from Sweden and other countries. And I hope that you find something for your reading. Women in translation. You have 1 week to go, and if you have access to a great library, you might find one of these books taking a stroll to the library. Do it. And I see you soon in another video from this beautiful and amazing channel that has more than 2,000 subscribers, and that you should subscribe to if you haven't done so yet. Have a great one. Bye-bye.